let's save some seeds. These are my Black Krim tomatoes, which are an open pollinated variety. So I'm wanting to save the seeds from this so I can grow from it next year. Now, you can save seeds from any of your tomatoes, but one wee thing to remember, open pollinated means you will get the same type of tomato again, but if you're taking seeds from what's called a hybrid, or you'll see sometimes F1 on the seed packet, that means there are different plants, parent plants, that have made up that fruit, and they'll have different properties. Now the thing is, when you save seeds from your tomato plant that's a hybrid, you don't know which of those properties are going to be in the plants that come from the seeds you've saved. So there's no guarantee of what you're going to get. You will get a tomato plant and it'll probably be lovely, but it may not be exactly what you're expecting. So, heirloom, hybrid, you can save seeds from both, but if it's a hybrid, you just don't know what you're going to get. Let's go Black Krim then. So I said you need a little tub, and it's because of this. Inside your tomato then, your seeds are inside all this really gooey, watery little sort of bubbles or cells, whatever you want to call it. That's kind of like a jelly material. Now that stuff that's surrounding them is to protect them, and it's to stop them germinating. Because the idea being that I said it has to be ripe, when in the wild, if you like, this would drop from the plant, and these little seeds, eventually this would all rot and these seeds would hit the ground. The seeds don't want to germinate too soon, so that protects them until it's all rotted away and exposes them, and then it will germinate. Now if we're saving seeds, we want to get rid of all that so that we've got just the little seeds left. And the easiest way to do that is all those seeds and all that jelly in a tub, just like this. You don't have to be neat and tidy about it. As much as you can. Once we've got all of that in a tub, all of the seeds that you want, remembering, separate out your varieties, folks. So just my Black Krim is really difficult. You ready? We just leave that. We're going to just leave this. You can cover it with maybe a bit of cloth or a bit of paper towel, but don't put a lid on and seal it. So the idea being then, all your tomato seeds and all that kind of gel and watery stuff is in here, and we're going to leave it like that for a few days. You can cover it with maybe a cloth or a bit of paper towel, but don't put a lid on it and seal it, okay? The reason being, we actually want all the bacteria and yeast and things to get in there, because we want that to start breaking down all this jelly. Now, you'll know it's ready. It'll probably take maybe 4 or 5 days, but when you start seeing really yucky, kind of mouldy stuff on top, that's when it's ready. And that is when we're then going to wash these seeds in a sieve to get rid of the last of that and dry them, and that's our seeds. Okay, so that's tomato seeds, that's your first step. Pepper seeds then. So I've got my King of the North and my Steve pepper. Now, as I mentioned, you need them to be ripe. So King of the North, I know are ripe when they're red, not green. So even though I'm going to eat this because I want a green pepper, I'm not going to save the seeds. I'm going to save them from the red ones. With Steve, I know that he's ripe when he's this kind of yellowy, orangey colour, not green. So again, I'll use the green pepper, but for saving seeds, I'm going with the ripe one. Now, seed saving with your peppers is a bit simpler than with your tomatoes. So let's just get in there. And this is perfect. So I'm going to take out all those seeds so that I can show you this. So all those lovely seeds. Now, what you'll see is most of them are this creamy white colour, but there's a few that are kind of a darker brown and some that are black. The ones we want to save are the creamy white ones. Those are the ones that are ready. So if we can, we're just going to take those ones and leave the other ones behind. If you get some in there, it's not the end of the world, because you can always pick them out once they're dry. So I'm going to separate them out here. And now the next thing I want to do is dry them, which you may think, oh, but Eli, they're dry, they're not like the tomatoes, they're not all wet. That is true, but the inside of that pepper is still wet, there's still moisture there. And if we put these seeds in a seed packet or an envelope or a box and there's moisture there, there's a chance they could rot. So we're going to let them dry out completely before we put them into the packet or box. And the way we can do that really easily is on a bit of kitchen paper. And we're simply just going to put all our seeds on it and leave them to dry. Easier said than done. Now, already look at this. Look at all of that from one pepper. That is excellent money saving there. If you are growing open pollinated peppers or even F1 peppers, because that's how Steve started life, he was a hybrid, but if you save those seeds, it saves you buying more. So now, very, very important things. So on this paper towel, we're going to spread them out because we're just going to leave them somewhere safe to dry. But top tip from Eli, and trust me on this one, write on the paper exactly what they are and tell everyone in the house what they are so that someone doesn't accidentally put them in the bin thinking it's rubbish. Trust me on this one. So that was nice and easy. That is my King of the North seeds. I'm going to put them aside on the worktop and I'm probably going to leave them maybe a week or longer. I'll keep checking every day. I'll keep coming in and moving them around every day just until they're completely dry. That's King of the North. Exactly the same with these peppers. Now, I've deliberately shown you with Steve because he's a different shape, but it's exactly the same thing. We're going in and we're going to take seeds out. Now, there's not as many in Steve. You'll see here's much less seeds. But it's the same idea. We're looking for all these nice white seeds, creamy seeds. Quite luckily, there are no dark ones in there, so that's excellent. Same again, they're going on some paper towel. Now you can do this from as many peppers as you want and save as many seeds as you want, because if you store your seeds properly, you could be using these seeds next season, the season after, the season after, as long as you store them properly. So these are seeds from Steve. I'm going to have to save quite a few more of these because these are going to be part of my grow along with my Patreons. There we go. That's stage one of the tomato seeds and the pepper seeds. I'll get on with dinner then and I'll come back and show you these when they're dry. So here we are. It's 1 week later. My tomato seeds have been sitting. I've got a couple of boxes or jars worth now. They've been sitting for the last week, allowing all the beasties in the atmosphere to do their job and break down that jelly that's around the seeds. So I'm going to clean that off today and then put them out to dry for another week. The peppers, however, they have dried. And as you can see, I've now got 2 awesome lots of seeds from my peppers that I can now put in envelopes and put away in the seed box until it's time to sow them. So that's the first thing I'm going to do very quickly then. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. So I'm already organised then. I've got these little seed packets all written out ready to go. And I've got my 2 sets of seeds here. And remember I mentioned last time, be careful, don't get things mixed up. So we're going to start with my King of the North. So let me just move these out the way. And I've got my King of the North packet. So I mentioned before, on your peppers, the seeds you want are the light coloured, what at the time were white, but are now a kind of beige or fawn colour if you like. We don't want any of these dark seeds that we can see here, because those aren't viable. So the first thing I'm going to do is just separate them out, and I'm only going to keep the light coloured seeds. And I'm simply just picking them out, that's all. Pick them out and dispose of them. There we go. That's still a decent amount of seeds. So I've got a little seed packet here, and I've written on it what the seeds are and the date, so that I know how old these seeds are, because I'm going to store them away, and I could be using these next year, the year after that. So it's good to know. And because they're now all dry, it's really easy to just drop them into the little seed packet. There we go. First lot of seeds are done. For the next bit then, we're over at the sink, and you're going to need a sieve and a spoon, because it goes like this. Now, I've got 2 lots of tomato seeds here just because I put them into 2 different tubs. But these are both my Black Krim seeds, so I can do them together. But what I'm going to do is a bit of cold running water in the sink, and I'm going to basically pass these seeds through the sieve, and I'm going to wash off any of this residue. So this is why we wanted to leave it for this week and let it all break down a bit. It's to make it easier to do this. Now, you can absolutely do this without leaving the seeds to break down in this way, and I have done it. It is much quicker to do it that way, but I have just found that this is a much easier way to get all this residue off. So if you weren't going to do that, you would simply do this step, where you're just running them under cold water, and you're trying to push it around the sieve with a spoon to break it all down. Now, you will find occasionally there'll be little bits where there'll still be jelly there, and that's why we've got the spoon, because we're just pressing that and breaking it up slightly. And we're just doing that until we're happy that all those seeds have been washed clean. It really only takes 30 seconds or so. So all we do next is exactly as we did with the pepper seeds. These go onto a clean piece of kitchen towel, and then they get left to dry. So I'm doing that next. So there we go. I finished this off last night. Just dropped these seeds onto some kitchen towel, and I've just left them overnight to dry. Now, 2 things here then. Again, I'm going to leave these for about a week or so, just to give them a chance to properly dry before I put them in an envelope, because I don't want to store seeds that are even a tiny bit moist. Chances are they'll just rot or sprout or do something that means I can't use them. Secondly, this is a question I get asked a lot from you guys when you're saving seeds, and I got asked so many times when we did this same video the other year. If they're wet when you put them on kitchen towel, they will stick to the kitchen towel. It's not the end of the world, however. Once they're all dry, you can sit and prise them from the kitchen towel, give it a good shake, and the majority will come off. But if you have to tear the kitchen towel and there's a little bit stuck to the seed, it's not going to do any harm, so don't worry about it. But if you really think, I don't want that hassle, put them on maybe a plate to dry instead of the kitchen towel, and that way you don't have to sit and take them off the kitchen towel if they stick. But that's it. Seed saving for your peppers and your tomatoes is super easy. So unless you're wanting to grow something fancy that you don't have seeds for, you don't have to buy seeds anymore. Just save your own. So now that you've started saving your seeds, it's got you thinking about next year. Try this video next and watch me create a really amazing spreadsheet to plan all my growing for the coming year. I'll take you through it and I'll give you a free copy. See you, folks!